everyone. Today I am here to talk about my media map activity that I have created specifically for a fake news workshop that I'm going to be teaching in the fall. So before I really go into the activity, I first wanted to talk just a little bit about the workshops that my college offers. So they are all 1 hour in length. That includes a 45-minute discussion and then a 15-minute assignment at the end. So now all of them are standalone, one-shot, and they're not graded. So instead what happens is that instructors will make either one or all of them an assignment, or even extra credit, and then students attend, and we let the instructors know the student attended. So this fall is going to be really a trial run for the fake news workshop that I've created. And we're going to see how it does, and then if it does well this fall, I'll be teaching it subsequently in the other semesters. So let me explain a little bit about the fake news workshop. So what I've done is I've created the material into 4 chunks. So we first have, how did we get here? Then what do we need from our news? What does the news need from you? And then we'll end by going over how do you spot fake news. Now the activity that I've created for this assignment, I've planned for it to go right smack in the middle after discussion of what do we need from our news. So after we talk about fairness and balance and bias in the media, then it will lead naturally into the Vanessa Otero's media map. So this media map is really popular. I've seen it all over the place. A lot of libraries link to it on their LibGuides. Vanessa Otero is an attorney. She's not a journalist. But she has really constantly been updating this map and has done a lot of research into this. And I really do think it's a pretty fair representation. And I really like how it shows visually. I think it's really helpful for students. So if you haven't seen it, I really highly recommend that you check that out. So hopefully the plan is for the activity to be about 15 minutes in length, although that is a concern of mine. And we'll be in our regular computer lab that we're always in for workshops. So they'll have desktop computers, and then the activity revolves around a Google Doc that they will be using. So the idea basically is for this activity to facilitate discussion, illustrate media bias, prepare students for the final assignment because it's going to have the same type of thing in it about the media map, and then drive home the fact that media bias can be subjective. Okay, so here's how the activity is going to go. So first things first, students are going to have to come up with one news source they trust and one they distrust. And then after we discuss the media map, that's when they're going to break into pairs. Then comes the hard part. They're going to have to discuss the news sources with their partner and both agree on where they think all 4 should go on the media map. Once they've done this, they're going to pick only one to place on the Google Doc. Now once the Google Doc is finished, that's when we're going to discuss it all as a class. And I'm going to be asking questions like, did you disagree or agree with Vanessa Otero? Did anybody disagree with their partner? That kind of thing. So here is the table that's going to go on the Google Doc. This is where I'm a little worried. Instead of having the actual map and then they're putting their news on it, I have it in a chart because I thought that the map would be a little too cluttered that way. So they're going to have to actually write it down. And then they also need that 2 to 3 sentence justification for where they're putting it. And that's really where the meat of this activity is. So just like with the final assignment, it's not necessarily going to receive a grade. So instead, I'm going to be grading it for my own purposes, and it's really more of a pre-assessment anyway. I really want to get an idea of how much they know about different news media outlets, how much they understand about bias before we really dive more into that. So, like I said, the grading is going to be done for my assessment only, just like that final assignment. So here's the grading checklist that I'm going to be following. So the first part of it, which is basically just filling out the table, that's only worth 10 points. So the news source is 1 point, and then each one is 3 points. However, that justification, that's where the bulk of the points is, and that's where I really am interested to see what students put, so that's worth 10 points. And I have a little rubric here that I'm going to be following. And I'm going to be using this same grading checklist for the final assignment because that news media map is going to be part of their final assignment. So this will give them a good idea and give them some practice before the final assignment. So I do have some concerns. Mostly time. It is only a 45-minute discussion. That's not a lot, and I have a lot to talk about. So this activity can definitely go off the rails in terms of time, and I can see it taking way longer than I'm planning. So it's basically, I'm just going to have to see how it goes. I'm a little worried about it. And I'm also keenly aware that it might lead to some disagreements between students. Can, touch on some nerves there. Hopefully I'll be able to kind of work around it. The idea really is to facilitate discussion and to get people talking to each other because we don't really do that anymore. And the other concern that I have that I mentioned earlier is about the table on the Google Doc. It might be confusing. So I'm keenly aware that this is not a perfect activity, and I would really appreciate any feedback, especially in terms of that table or in terms of how to shorten it, or if you foresee any problems that I don't see. I'd really appreciate that. So thanks you guys for listening. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to hearing everybody else's activity. So thanks guys.